My voice is audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then are you understand the topic of subnetting? One student having a doubt in subnetting, how to calculate that subnets. How many subnets in our network?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will explain that topic or anyone expected. I will explain in detail. Before taking. Okay, what is subnet? No one giving answer. What is subnet?
Can be like division of IP, like
Yes,
logical division.
yes,
Dividing network into smaller networks is a subnet.
Yeah,
yes, correct. See, this is our IP address. This is maximum 255. This is maximum IP address.
can't see the screen, ma'am, if you're showing.
Okay, okay. See, this is IP address 32 bits, network ID, host ID 255, 255, 255, 255. This is the maximum capacity. Then we are showing in binary format. See, example of decimal. If the number is 172, if the number is 16, if the number is 122, 204, this is IP address. Then how we are showing that number in binary format? 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, A 182. Those number required we put 1, 1, other are 0, 0. If we are calculating this, then that will come 172. Class A, network 8 bits, network ID 16 bits, class B, class C 3 networks, and one host, class D for multicast, class E for research. Then IP address class A 000, host, host, host. Okay. See this part. Determining available host address. If these ones they mentioned here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, it means 8 bit id. This one is 8 bit id, 9 to 16. This 8 bit id they shown 117 172 number into a binary format, 16 number into a binary format. Now here the number is 65,534. They used these bits. Okay, 111. now 65,536 minus 2. Which number? 65,534. How it comes? See, 2 raised to n. 2 raised to n means 16. How 16 will come? If you count this one, Just a minute, I'll highlight this part. These ones, see, these ones are 16 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. These n are 16. These ones are 16. Because of that, we mentioned 2 raised to 16 minus 2. Then our answer will come. 2 raised to 16, the answer is 65,536. Minus 2, then the answer is 65,534. 2 raised to n minus 2 is the calculation to determine available host. N is the number of binary digit in the host field. Are you getting this point? These are the n is the number of binary digits in the host field. This half part is network and half part is host. Then how many ones are there? How binary digits are there? That one is our n. That n is selecting how many hosts are in our network. See here n is ones are, or the binary number is 16 number. Then n is the number of binary digit in the host field, subtract 2, because why 2? A host cannot be all zeros and ones. In this host field 16 bits are there already, but all 16s are not zeros, not ones. Then 0 and 1, these two member we are cutting from that. Because of that, we are subtracting 2 from that, 2 raised to 16 minus 2, and then our number will come. Means 65,534 hosts are in our network now. Now you understood how we use this formula.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you getting, or still you, if you have any doubt, then please ask me. Again, I will explain that part.
मैम फिर से कर दूं।
Okay, now see, the here network part, half part 172 is network part, 16 is network part, and then next part is the host part. Okay, in the network part, suppose first initially zeros, then 1, then 2 ones are here. If you saw here these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 octets. Or when I'll explain. Please understand this first part. 8 decimal part or 8 bit means first part is 1. If we have one host, then here instead of 0 we are writing 1. If 2, then we are writing near behind the 2 we are writing 1. If they are writing 1 means that number is 128. This is a binary format. Above is the decimal format. If 2 ones means 128 plus 64, that is 192. If 3 ones are here means 128 plus 64 plus 32, that is 224. Like this they calculated. When all ones are there, then the number is 255. This is a 8 bit, and in IP address 4 addresses are there. Two address for network and 2 address for host. We are taking that host part. Suppose anyone given you a number. The number is this one, second part 11000, and this is the host part, and the next one is host part contain two numbers, correct? Suppose I given you this number and another number, then what you can do? You count how many ones are here. Total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. Means I will do 2 raised to 5 minus 2. Then what is the answer of 2 raised to 5? That will minus 2, and that number of hosts are present in our network. See this example. The host ID is here, that starts from all zeros initially 1, then 2, on the place of 2 I mentioned 1, then 1 1 means 1 plus 2, 3 systems are there till they mention number of ones. Then there the all ones are here, all ones. Then in the second host address is only 10 is there. Then how many parts are there? How many ones are there? They counted 16. That is 2 raised to 16 minus 2. And why minus 2? because 0 and 1 we are not taking that number. Because of that we are cutting that number and we are subtracting these two, and that answer will come. See, addressing without subnet. Now here no subnet is here. How they are mentioned: 16.0.1, 16.0.2, 16.0.3, 253 up to 254. The network is like this. But when we are using subnet, then what we done? The network is divided into three parts. That is one part on this line, second part, and third part. The number of system we can join in one network. We divided our line. See here only 0.0. That red line, below that red line I mentioned 172.16.00. Now here 172.16.10, 20 and 30. We divided that network. See subnet addressing. The network part is this, correct? 172 first two digit. Then second part is host 2 and 160. Then new routing table is here, interface. Okay. Now you can see this one example also, subnet mask. The first part is 172.16. This is network part, and 00 we mentioned for host part. Suppose 00 is there, then also written as a 16, whereas a 16 represents the number of ones in the mask. 255, 255, 255 and 0. This is a subnet mask. And address is 32-bit divided into a three component. First octet rule bits, network bits, node bits. The first octet rule state that the most significant bit pattern in the first octet determine the class of address. Path selection bits cannot be all ones and zeros. This is a decimal equivalent of bit pattern. Subnet mask without subnet. Now here they are not used any subnet, directly used. See, first is 172.16.2.160. The representation of this number binary format also mentioned here. 255 to 55.00 mentioned here. The network number, subnets not in use, the default. Then see, when we are using subnet, what we can do? We divided that network. How we divided that network? The last one is 0, but the second is 255. The network number is 172.116.2.0. Network number
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes, yes.
Ma'am, I don't understand like how we are going to implement these in like networking, like how these are helpful.
Okay. Just a minute, I'll show you. First, are you understood how we are dividing that network, how we are using that IP in subnet?
Yeah, ma'am, partially.
Partially, okay. Today I haven't downloaded any video, but I definitely download that video, Cisco video. They are shown. I saw that video, but I haven't downloaded. I thought this is not useful for you, but I will download that video, and they are showing how we are implementing that subnet. Means this IP address in subnet. In the next lecture, I will show you that video. Just now you understand the concept. Okay.
मैम कंसेप्ट समझ में आएगा जब हम प्रैक्टिकली करेंगे ना, या नहीं?
यस श्योर, बट ये पार्ट समझ में आना चाहिए कि कैसे थियोरेटिकली पहले समझ में आना चाहिए कि कैसे हम सबनेट डिवाइड कर रहे हैं, सबनेट कैसे काउंट कर रहे हैं, कितने नेटवर्क में हैं. अदरवाइज वेट अ मिनट, आई विल सर्च. Okay, we will see using practically.
And we're going to use routers, switches, and three network. We're going to build a network using Packet Tracer. This is Cisco Packet Tracer right here. And we're going to use routers, switches, and PCs to build a simple three subnet network. And first, let's go over how we're going to logically arrange this network. Okay, we're going to do a
We
situation
saw it in
where
this video.
we're given
We saw this video.
Ma'am, but this video is of the older version. We have an updated version now and it's a bit different from this.
Okay.
Ma'am, it would be really beneficial, like if you can do and show us and explain each step.
Which one?
The practical thing.
Practically, you are expecting what you are saying. I can't understand.
Like on Cisco Packet Tracer, can you like do and explain like what all things we are using?
Means packet tracer or this subnet?
Like in Packet Tracer only, ma'am, subnet.
Okay. Create subnet in Cisco packet tracer. Now say IP address they are taking subnet mask. Now we want to create a 10 subnet for this IP. How we are creating? Using VLSM.
What is VLSM?
Custom, I saw you in video on this PPT. Wait a minute, I will show you again. My system is going very slow. Variable length subnet mask VLSM. This concept also we saw in last lecture. Network ID, host ID.
Yes, ma'am.
See now. First IP address is 192.168.1.0. Okay, subnet mask is 255 by default subnet mask is taken. We want to create a top 10 subnet for this IP. Now so the VLSM is 26. The custom subnet mask is this one. So network 1, they are mentioned the network 1 1.0, network 2 1.16 and network 3 1.32. Three routers, then switch, the video is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
There is 2 port on the router. That's why we add more 2 ports in the router. All computers are connected by wires. Now they will connect the port. Physical. configured. Now here he is mentioned the IP address and then subnet mask. First 192.168 subnet mask by default. IPI is overlapping. Same work from the routers. For every router and every switch, he is assigning IP address and subnet mask initially. No RIP all the networks in this option. Routing information protocol. Now he add here. Then for router, second router, network ID. Third router, 1.1. 3. See successfully. Router 1, router 2. Now set IP address. Successfully, all network is established successfully. Now same. No. What he did, he just divided the take a 3 routers, give an IP address for 3 routers, then 3 switches. Then he took some systems, give an IP address for that systems and communication between them. Still you are not satisfied with this video. I will play on my Cisco packet tracer and then I will show you the practical in the next lecture. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
This is variable length subnet mask, VLSM. We saw this part. Subnetting. Now we will see our next topic, naming convention. In a computer programming, a naming convention is a set of rules for choosing the character sequence to be used for identifiers which denote variables, types, functions, and other entities in the source code and documentation. Reasons for using a naming convention. What is the reason? See, to reduce the effort needed to read and understand source code. To enable a code review to focus on more important issues than arguing over a syntax and naming standards. To enable a code quality review tools to focus their reporting mainly on significant issues other than syntax and style preference. The choice of naming convention can be enormously controversial issue, with the partisans of each holding there to be a best and other to be an inferior. Collectively, this is said to be a matter of dogma. Many companies have also established their own set of conventions. As a proper naming convention to shorten the time for troubleshooting as well as inventory. A good naming convention can safeguard your network from future problems. Now, some of the potential benefits that can be obtained by adopting a naming convention include the following. See, first one is to provide additional information. Means suppose we are saving our file in our system, then also we are giving some proper name to the folder, to the particular file. Means if once we read, then we can understand, no, this is the data for the NP or this is the data for the other subjects, like this. The same like the naming convention we are using in network to provide additional information. What additional? About to use the which can identifier is put. To help formalize expectations and promote consistency within a development team. To enable the use of automated refactoring or search and replace tools with a minimal potential for error. To enhance the clarity in case of potential ambiguity. To enhance the aesthetic and professional appearance of work product. For example, by disallowing overly long names, means what we are comical or cute names, or to help avoid a naming collisions that might occur when the work product of a different organization is combined. To provide meaningful data to be used in project handovers which require a submission of program, source code and all relevant documentation. What they're saying, to provide a meaningful data. If we are giving any data into any other organization, then we are giving a proper naming convention. Then when we are handovering that data, that requires the submission of all documentation and all source code also. To provide better understanding in case of code reuse after long interval of time. Means suppose if we are writing any program or coding in Java or in C, then what we are doing if we want to do addition, then we are giving a add function. Then add is shows us we are doing addition. In that if we are doing subtraction, then we are taking sub shortly, and we can recognize that yeah, we are doing this part. Such that naming convention in a network. It helps to avoid a naming collisions that might occur when the work product of a different organization is combined. Then what he does, it to provide additional information about the use which can identifier is put, or to help formalize expectations and promote a consistency within a development tool. Now we will see few rules for naming convention. Like when we are creating our email, then they are mentioned there. Use when we are creating our password, then give a alphanumerical characters, alphabets, numbers, symbols like this. The same few rules for naming conventions, like a letter case and numerals. Some naming conventions limit whether letter may appear in uppercase or lowercase. Other conventions do not restrict letter case, but attach a well-defined interpretation based on letter case. Some naming conventions specify whether alphabetic, numeric, or alphanumeric characters may be used, and if so, in what sequence. Then multiple word identifiers. A common recommendation is use meaningful identifier. A single word may not be as meaningful or specific as a multiple word. Consequently, some naming conventions specify rules for treatment of compound identifiers containing more than one word. This is a multiple word identifier. As most programming languages do not allow white space in identifiers, a method of delimiting each word is needed. That is to make it easier for subsequent reader to interpret which character belong to which word. Historically, some early languages, notably Fortran in 1955 and Algol in 1958, allowed spaces within identifiers, determining the end of identifiers by the context. This was abandoned in later languages due to difficulty of tokenization. It is possible to write names by simply concatenation words. This is sometimes used as in my package for Java package names. Through legibility suffers for longer terms. So usually some form of separation is used. This is a multiple word identifier, letter case and numerals. Then delimiter separated words. One approach is to delimit a separate word with a non-alphanumerical characters. The two characters commonly used for this purpose are the hyphen and the underscore. The two words would be represented as two words or two words like this, using hyphen or using underscore. The hyphen is used by nearly all programmers within a COBOL in 1959, Forth 1970 and Lisp in 1958. It is also common in Unix for commands and packages and used in CSS. This convention has no standard name, though it may be referred to as a Lisp case or COBOL case. Then by contrast language in Fortran or Algol tradition, not by languages in the C and Pascal family used and the Python for the subtraction in fixed operator and did not wish to require a spaces around it. That is a free form languages. Preventing its use in identifiers and alternatives is to use underscores. This is common in C family. with the lowercase word being found, for example, in the C programming language in 1978 and has come to be known as a snake case. Underscores with uppercase, as in upper underscore case, are commonly used for C preprocessor macros, hence known as microcase. And for environment variable in Unix such as bash version in a bash, sometimes this is humorously referred to as a screaming snake case. This is about delimiter separated words. Now letter case separated words. See also letter case and special case types. Another approach is to indicate word boundaries using a medical capitalization called camel case, Pascal case, and many other names, thus the respectively rendering two words as a two and W is capital, two words, or T capital, W capital, two words. This convention is commonly used in Pascal, Java, C Hash, Visual Basic treatment of initialisms in identifiers. Example XML HTTP in XML HTTP request varies. These are the example. Some dictate that they be a lowercase to ease the typing and readability, whereas others leave them uppercase for accuracy. See naming convention in short. See the multiple word identifier format. This is a formatting and this is a names. The two words, then flat case, two words capital. The name is upper flat case. All are upper letters. Then a lower. One example, that is a camel case. Two words, camel case, Pascal case, and straddle case. Two words, snake case. They given them hyphen. Two words, screaming snake case, micro case or constant case. Two words, camel snake, T capital, W capital. Then both are small, kebab case or dash case. All letters are capital, then train case, football case, or screaming kebab case. The two words is train case. These are the naming conventions. Now, when to consider implementing a naming convention? A structured naming convention will be a most useful in a large dynamic environment that are more complex and therefore require to be a more organized. If you are managing only a handful of computers, a naming convention may not be critical, but you may still need to give it some thought. Whatever naming convention, make sure stick to it. The first one is having a naming convention and sticking to it at all times is more important than what your naming convention entails. As long as there is a sound logic in your convention and it provides a specific device information at a glance, you are on a right track. Excuse me. Consistency is important here. Having an erratic or non-existent naming scheme might not seem a problem on a small scale network, but consider the hurdle on a large scale network WAN, such as an ISP. These are the important, means what you have to do, having a naming convention and sticking to it at all times. You have to take it continue is more important than what your naming convention entails. Then the next is, as long as there is a sound logic in your convention and it provides a specific device information at a glance, that is, you are on right track. Consistency is important. Having a erratic or non-existing naming scheme might not seem a problem on a small scale network, but it is a problem for a big network, or that is a WAN network, wide area network. Then key features of effective naming conventions. First is parsability. Parsability means name made up of acronyms or identifiers that represents meaningful information to anyone reading the name. Then character count, standardized number of character count. Performance, your device as well as your workspace may move or change from time to time. Logic, a logical framework should be underpin every decision regarding your naming convention. Then consistency. Whatever naming convention you decide on, stick to it at all times. And these are the part of key features of naming convention: parsability, character count, performance, permanence, logic, and consistency. Now we will see common language location identifier codes, CLLI codes. This CLLI, common language location identifier code, is a 11 character standardized geographic identifier that uniquely identifies the geographic location of places and certain functional categories of equipment unique to the telecommunication industry. Means they are having a fixed their standards, like a 11 character standards geographic identifier that shows a location of geographical location. Then to identify and describe the three types of location. Then in that three types, the network site, that is a network location as a central office building. Then business offices, microwave radio, structures and earth station. Then network support sites, that is international boundaries or crossing points, endpoints, fiber nodes, cable and facility junction, manhole, poles and repeaters. The second point is network support sites, means they have to support the network. Then which types of network? International boundaries or crossing points, endpoints, fiber nodes, cable and facility junctions, manholes and poles and repeaters. Then the last one is customer site. That is customer location and associated circuit terminations, facilities or equipment for each specific customer. These are part of common language location identifier codes. In that they are having standardized 11 character standards. They are mentioned their geographical location also there. Then identifying and describing the three types of location. In that three types, the first one is network site. Then network locations as a central office building, business office, microwave radio, structures and earth station. These are part of network. Then network support sites, which are supporting, suppose the international boundaries, endpoints, fiber nodes, then cable and facility junctions, manholes, poles and repeaters. And the last point is customer sites. Customer locations and associated circuit terminations, facilities or equipment for each specific customer. These are a part of naming and convention. See, this is a naming and convention. In that is a set of rules for choosing the character sequence to be used for identifiers which denotes the variables, types, functions and other entities in a source code and documentation. Then we saw naming convention, the potential benefits of this naming convention. In that the first part is additional information, that is a metadata. Then second is formalize expectations and promote consistency within a development team. Then third one is use of automated refactoring or search and replace the tools. These are the benefits. In that the main clarity in case of potential ambiguity. The aesthetic and professional appearance of work product. And next one is avoid name collisions, duplication or replication of the name that might occur when the work product of different organization is combined. Then to provide meaningful data to be used in project handovers, which requires the submission of program source code and all relevant documentations. To provide a better understanding in case of code reuse after a long interval of time. Then we saw the letter case and numbers. In letter case, uppercase, lowercase or numerical you can use. Then multiple word identifier. A common recommendation is use a meaningful identifiers. Then delimiter separated words. Like we can give hyphen, we can give underscore. And then according to hyphen and underscore and this delimiter and uppercase, lowercase and this multiple word identifiers, they mentioned few types formatting and given them a name. That is a flat case, upper flat case, camel case, then Pascal case, Studle case, snake case, screaming case, snake case, macro case, camel, again camel snake, then kebab case, dash. We are using dash because of that dash case. Train case, all are capital, and only we use an a dash is there. And the last one is first letter capital, second letter, say, starting of second word is capital. That is a train case. Then we saw effective name convention. Key. We have to use passability, character count, permanence, logic, and consistency. And at last point, we saw the common language location identifier. In that, they are having their own standards that maintain 11 characters and standardized geographical area, then network sites, and then customer sites. Till now today, we saw this information. And we saw first part also subnetting, how we have to calculate the subnetting host in our network. And in the next lecture, I will show you the video. Otherwise, I will do it. Actually, I downloaded, done that. But when I starting in my online class, then my system and network goes down. Then I can't show that taking 1.1 router, one network. It takes time consuming, and my system getting slow. Because of that, I am showing that video. But still, I will try on my system. I will show practically, and if possible, I will do that. Otherwise, I will take a good video. Then your concept will, you can understand that concept where we are using subnetting and how we are using that subnetting part. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'm planning to take one test on Wednesday, like a quiz or multiple questions, multiple choice question.
Ma'am, what will be the portion for that?
That the first part, firewall and types of firewall and all that, the first part of this unit.
Ma'am, can you like make it in the next to next lecture? We have other tests as well, so it's getting too burden for us.
Okay, then Friday.
Like, is everyone's okay with that?
If everyone is
Ma'am,
on
if
Friday,
possible,
then
next week, ma'am. Please, next week.
on next Friday.
Yeah, ma'am. Next Friday, I guess it will be okay.
Okay,
Yes,
then on
ma'am.
Wednesday, I will try to give assignment only. Then is it okay for assignment?
Yes, ma'am. At least we can do that and upload it.
Okay. Just a minute, I'll take attendance and then we will give. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.